Hey, it's Leah from Girls on Games. It's a beautiful day in Montreal to celebrate the launch of Ubisoft's latest title, Watch Dogs. So we've got a brand new character to fall in love with, Aiden Pearce. What is it about him that we're going to like?
Well, actually, it's more like what you don't understand about him that you're going to like in the first place, I think. He's a character that embraces the shades of gray. So we wanted to create a character that would be more inspired by what we're used to seeing in TV shows today, which means less binary, good and bad, maybe a bit more human being with flaws. So I think it starts with a man who has his own desires to fix his own problem, but he's flawed at the same time. And the player will slowly but surely discover who that man is, and more importantly, what are his motivation. And you're not going to have every answer in the first minute.
Is morality going to be a big part of the game? Are we going to have the choice to maybe take some decisions that are a little less safe?
I think it's definitely a game that explores morality, but in a more serious way. So don't expect those games where, you have like, do you want to do A or do B, which I think is a very binary way of approaching it. It's closer to choice you have in real life. So we wanted to create a world where everything you do, whether you hack a traffic light, cause an accident, create an entire blackout, we want to make sure that the repercussions make sense, just like in real life. So media might talk about you as an asshole or someone who's a bit more of a good man, depending on how you're playing the game. And hopefully you're going to feel that stress that people around you are human beings, and if you can start pulling the trigger on any innocent person, you shouldn't feel like that's necessarily a good thing. And I think that's our own way of making you feel and embrace your own ethics as you're playing the game instead of being judgmental about it.
Why Chicago? I mean, we're here in Montreal. You could have chose any city in the world.
Well, we wanted to make a game that was more relevant and was bring people to consider the way they play in the game. And I think any element that can bring you more to reality there is going to help out. If you want to convey drama, you need to believe in it. So bringing a real city was definitely a huge plus. Now, which city was the question? I think Chicago is a city that could definitely be a place that's going to implement something like CTOS, which in our universe is just simply a smart city system that helps everything that runs a city to communicate with each other to improve stuff like power and also management of the police forces and things like that. So the pitch of such a system makes total sense, but it takes a lot of courage from a government standpoint to try something like that. Chicago is a city that historically has been, like reinventing police force to beat Al Capone in the 20s. They reinvented the way they approach like architecture to rebuild themselves after the Great Fire. So all those elements gave us nice hints that if there was a place in the United States that could actually have the courage to try something new like that, it would be in Chicago. Funny enough, a couple of years after we chose that city, it became the most surveilled city in North America, so I guess we were in the right direction.
So how do you guys make hacking seem real in a video game?
Well, you need to start with the repercussions. Like a very old story that was using for the different directors in the team, the people who really execute the different elements of the game. I was talking about, at some point I was driving into a highway, and I was with my wife. My wife is a nurse. I'm making video games, very different backgrounds, and we cross an accident on the other side. And I hate to say it, but I'm a guy who thinks about action movies sometimes and elements like that. So I'm like, my first instinct is that I want to see the trajectory of the car. I was wondering about that, while immediately my wife is about, are they all right? And that's one thing we are really not good at in games. That sentence, are they all right? So I really wanted to push the team to go for the dramatics part of it, to say like there's people behind the wheel. If you have a gun in your hand and you're in a city, that's a big deal. So you really want to make sure that everything feels real in the city, so you can have people react to it and believe in it. I think that's the essence of it in the end.